Daniela and I think in many ways took on many roles because like you diversify your skill set. There's more streams for income, but also like you get more control. And then also like sometimes if you want to make something, like you kind of don't have the resources to pay a director or an actor, so you just have to do it yourself.
Today on the show, we are joined with Daniela and Aisha, who are the writers, producers, directors, actresses starring in Toronto's funniest web series titled The Drop. You can watch The Drop right now on the Narcity YouTube channel. We'll also have the links to that in the description of the episodes, wherever you're listening to this, on the Spotifys, the YouTube, SoundClouds, our website, all that. And what can I say? This was such a fun talk. This show has won many awards, embraces the culture of where I currently live, Toronto. But even if you live outside the city, I promise you will find this funny, as these girls pick apart and make a total mockery of how society is today, with trends, clout chasing, unaffordable housing, and much, much more. It was not only fun to hear about the making of this, but also just kind of pick their brains, listen to them spit some game on filmmaking, writing, directing, and taking a big idea and bringing it to life. So yeah, let's get into it. Great to have you both here today. I was saying to Danny before you hopped on that I thoroughly enjoyed this series. I thought it was so cool. Even like just being a Toronto person myself too. It just like there was something very comforting about it too. And before I like kind of dive into the content of the show, I kind of want to know like how you guys met, because one thing that really stood out to me was the chemistry, not only like on camera, but even like within the writing and everything. And I know you guys are kind of like the leads behind almost this whole project and everything.
Yeah.
Do you want to share our love story, Aisha?
Oh my gosh. Yeah,
I
you do
love a
that.
good love
Yes,
story.
share our love story. Yes, please.
It was fall 1992. It was, it was fall. And Aisha and I were at York University in the theater department. And we were just like, we first years, and we met. I think we probably met at like a Frosh Week thing.
Yeah, I feel like, oh God, Frosh was a weird, like, I actually didn't drink that much until that 1 week. So if we met, I probably don't think we could remember meeting each other at all. I guess part of me feels like we went to theater school. We were in the same acting conservatory program.
Yes, when we got in second year.
Yeah. But we weren't actually friends either. Like we were friends, but we weren't like skipping to class together and like, calling each other in the morning being like, what are you going to wear?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we were professional colleagues, I guess.
We were professional colleagues.
Student colleagues, but like fast forward I won't say how many years, but fast forward enough years later, Aisha and I were both, doing like indie film stuff. And Aisha had produced like quite a number of shorts, all of which were being recognized at like film festivals. And I was more in the comedy series vertical. And we were just like, oh, hey, like, what are you doing during this trash fire of a pandemic? And Aisha was like, not much. And I was like, well, do you want to make a show together? And then we basically came up with The Drop like in 2020. So
wow.
Yeah.
That's so cool. And how was those like first writing sessions like? Was it immediately like a click, or like?
Well, I think we had gotten quite close by then. Like, I think after we got out of theater school, I would consider Daniela like a pal. Like we would hang out. So, well, maybe you can speak to more of like the journey that the writing of the show went on. But like, I had a nice time. Now I consider Daniela my work wife.
It's true. Don't talk to anyone this much. Like,
yeah,
I don't even know who my mom is anymore. So it's the writing process. I'm pretty sure that we applied to like Netflix had an open call like submission situation during the pandemic. And I think that I wrote the pilot, but then we like kind of workshopped it. Like we came up with the premise together, and then we wrote the pilot, and then we like sent it in and like never heard back. But basically we kept working on it, and then eventually got development funding and ended up having like a cute little like development writers room with these two amazing comedians, Nick Nemiroff and Noor Hadidi. So yeah, we worked with them for a while, and it's just been a really long journey. Yeah.
It's been a long time.
It's been a long time. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, and if people want to
Do you
check it out,
remember-
it's on like oh, sorry to cut you off, but I was just gonna say it's on Narcity right now for people who want to watch this if they're listening. But
Narcity's YouTube channel. Yes.
Narcity's YouTube, yeah.
Yeah.
I was gonna say, Daniela, if you remember, like it was actually this show was about a woman who was a kindergarten teacher who had a boy. Yeah, do you remember? It was serialized. It was less episodic. It's about a woman who was a kindergarten teacher, so like really vanilla. And she had this like sad boyfriend that was a DJ named Will, and Will got kidnapped by who we don't know. And then she finds his apartment one day and she's like, shit, I need to make a bunch of money to get to pay for his ransom. And so then she decides that she wants to start waiting in line for drops. But it was just like it was different. It was so different. It was so serialized. I just like don't think it would have worked for us. Like we're very happy with what we have now. But I remember it being about a kindergarten teacher.
Ah,
I
interesting.
don't even remember that. But thank God it changed. Thank God it changed, because it got so much better.
Yeah.
Yeah. One thing I was saying, like I loved like how much it embraced like Toronto culture. Like I see so many series where they embrace like either like New York or LA, and I find people who make like content or like shows in Toronto, they don't really like fully dive into Toronto with whether it's the slang and little references here and there. And like I love how you guys just kind of like went all in, like even to the point where you're talking about like the Jesus guy, or like you got like the Bay Street Coke dude. And like it's just such like a Toronto like thing that I thought was awesome. And I feel like there should be a lot more of this too, because when I watch like those New York and LA shows, when they make like references or whatever, it doesn't take me out of the show. It's like you more like learn about the culture and everything. And I kind of just want to know a little bit about your philosophy of just going so in, like whether it's like the jokes or just like the areas you shot and everything there.
I don't think we wanted to shy away. I mean, we are, we've been in Toronto for so many years.
Long enough.
Again, we're not putting numbers on that, but we just didn't want to shy away. A lot of people said that, is this based in New York or LA? And we were like, no, it's Toronto, man. The T is silent, Toronto.
Yeah.
I feel like we also kind of, I don't want to say pressure, but at least a couple of people, actually fairly recently even, we had like, I was talking to somebody, it was at like some kind of web series event, and he was like, this is cool, but like you should put it somewhere else. And then like days later we won Best Toronto Web Series at Toronto Web Fest, which was really exciting. But we received like a lot of pressure to kind of like move it to somewhere else. But but I guess the reason as to why we really leaned into this whole Toronto thing is because like, well, A, we live here and it would be inauthentic to not do that. But B, Toronto is like becoming a world city in many ways. Like people, like the same way people go to like Paris or London or New York to travel just to see it, people now come to Toronto. Like it's a really it's probably one of the most multicultural places you can find in North America. Like, sorry, do you hear that siren?
I don't actually.
No.
Okay, great.
Toronto!
Yeah, woo! But yeah, like it's a really cool place to be. It's really happening, and like I don't know, I guess what I'm getting at is like we felt a lot of pressure. People would tell us to like shy away from being ourselves to be more appealing. But then like if you think about it, like isn't the idea to be appealing to just be yourself? So we were just like, let's just do that.
And I love a specific joke. I love a location-based joke. It's worth it. And that's what brings people in. It makes people relate to the show.
Believe.
Yeah. So like for people like listen to these segments from all over the place. They're not strictly from Toronto, and I just kind of want to explain the Jesus guy. He's at the corner of Dundas Square, and you'll see him there, and he's been there. Like I've been in Toronto for like the past 10 years, and he's been there the whole time, and he'll be dead silent, then all of a sudden just yell and have a pamphlet, and like you'll walk by, I'll try to give you a pamphlet, and I loved seeing the reactions of like tourists walk by and just like jump, almost like a jump scare. It's
Yeah.
amazing.
Yeah, he just wants us to believe, you know?
Yeah, he's just all about it. I swear, like one day in the winter, I thought he was like just a like almost dead, like just a frozen popsicle, like ice all over him, and he's just standing there. And then all of a sudden, he yelled the catchphrase. I'm like, oh, okay,
Oh,
he's
thank
good.
God.
I don't need to call some.
His blood is still running hot. Yes.
But yeah, you referenced a bunch of like different characters too. Like I think there was a joke about Share Girl and like so
Oh my
many
God.
different things, and
Yes.
I love just like the little sprinkles in there. And even I was telling Danny before you came on, Aisha, that I'm kind of in the East End as well, and I love the poking fun at the East End as well, because that's such like a true thing with people who just live here. They're just like, oh, where do you live? And I'll tell them my street corner, and there's like, ew, like why? Type of thing.
So
Can I
funny.
tell you something? I just like I had to drop off hard drives for another thing I'm finishing up, and I had to drop the hard drives in the East End, and I was like, this will be no problem. I'll just like go drop them off, and then I get the address, and I was like, why is it in the East End? Like, and so like it's real, and I'm trying to like dissolve because it's actually quite nice out in the East End. Not judging, but definitely I drove back here like on the DVP, just like quite. I am a West End girly, quite annoyed that I had to go so far east of Spadina.
Yeah, once you pass like the DVP too, I noticed there's like an energy change. I don't know what it is. It's just something in the air where it seems like it's a different town or something. I don't know what it is.
Yeah, it feels very like organic egg, like I don't know, like smaller Valley Village, less
Yeah,
humans.
that's not
Like
bad.
it's not bad, but it's a different city. I have a friend who lives in the East End. I barely see them, but you know.
Yeah, because you don't visit them. That's why.
So I'm like, you are coming here, right?
Yeah. That's
That's
amazing.
funny. To be
Yeah.
like, I think idea for next season, if we do a next season, the idea that like we should definitely lean into the East End more, being like a person's like someone we haven't seen, we just assume they're dead, and it's like, oh no, they just like live by Woodbine Station.
And,
Yeah, I love that. And yeah, they could be all pissed off that you never come there and stuff. So
you're like,
that's
I'm at Castle Frank, and I'm like, oh my God, what is that? Is that a castle? Like,
yeah.
I know Castle Loma, but what are you talking about?
There
Also
you
Frank.
go. Write these down. Or actually, this is recorded. You can always go back and check the log. I love it. You can see the wheels turning when you guys talk to each other. And
Yeah.
I thought that what was also cool was like watching it, your chemistry as actors as well. Like there was just such like a natural vibe to it where I don't know, it just had like such like a flow to it. And do you guys want to talk a little bit about like actually filming these scenes and that kind of process?
Yeah, I mean, Aisha and I were also directing a lot of the time, so
Damn.
um it was double the fun, I'd say,
Mhm.
because of
Mhm.
that. You know, like we I guess because the show came from us, we felt super secure, I think, with our acting choices. And
Yeah.
so that allowed at least me to have a lot of freedom to like kind of do both things and not feel too, stressed. It was fun. It was, all encompassing.
Mhm.
So what do you think, Aisha?
I think that like I think also maybe speaking about trust in a way, not to make it like too much of a therapy session, but like I guess we had just been working with each other so intimately for so long that I kind of feel like the chemistry kind of just that's where the chemistry comes from, is just like me seeing Daniela on Zoom for hours at a time for the last how many years. So by the time we were next to each other, it was just like, oh, you're doing this. I'll okay. Like we would complement each other in that way, in a scene. And like I also think we kind of got to really, as the writers, we get to really inhabit the voices of these characters, right? Like every now and then you'll talk to people and they'll be like, oh, actors write great characters if they are writers. And I think we really just lived with these characters for so long, became like very second nature to us. So by the time it came to play, we kind of already just like knew each character's voice and like how they exist. So it was kind of just like putting a pair of pants on. You're like, okay, I'm wearing these pants now. Let's do it, you know?
And
Yeah.
also the cast was so good. Every
Yeah.
actor and comedian, I mean, they're the same comedian actor. They were all so perfect in their roles, and they made the characters feel really lived in.
Hmm.
It was delightful to see their choices on set. It was super fun.
Amazing. And
Yeah.
I love how like every character was kind of just all over the top and super zany. So that must have been even like just fun to just do and act out. And was there like a lot of like different outtakes throughout this time?
I mean, yes, it was hard to pick certain takes for sure because some people were just giving and giving and giving. Like I always go back to like Mark Little, who plays the clerk, ironically, in like I think like 2 or 3 episodes. And like we would basically give Mark a script and then he would just be completely off script, but like kind of get to the point. And I was like, I don't even care. Like you're funnier than the script, so just do whatever you want, Mark.
Nice.
And there are like little moments, like there's this moment in episode 3 where I quite literally almost peed my pants because I was like, shit, we have to like, pardon my French, sorry. I was like, we have to get out of this scene before I can go into literally to go pee because we were behind. And do you remember that with Georgia the dog, when you were taking the dog back from one of the line waiters? And so basically, Zara takes the dog back from one of the line waiters after ditching the diabetes dog there, and then she goes klepto, and she screams klepto at the little BG, like one of the line waiters, but it wasn't scripted or anything. So like the background actor like didn't know that Daniela was going to yell that she's a kleptomaniac at her for stealing her dog, and like everyone behind the monitor was like giggling so hard, and I just like remember like what a gift. Like we were like, okay, we're out of the scene, and right before I was about to call cut, she goes and like and then rolls away on her little cart, and it's just scoot on your little scoot and your scooter. So yeah, like such great moments that like you kind of can't plan, which I think just goes back to like creating a space where people can just feel free to do whatever they want, you know?
Including physical comedy.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah. It's always
Yeah.
nice to go through a script and replace dialogue with physical comedy. That's like something that I'm doing more and more now. I'm like, do I have to say it? Or can they just do something with their bodies that is outrageous? So we got a lot of that on set. It was great.
Yeah, that's a cool thing to like even think about too, because I notice like some aspiring creatives like will listen to these segments too, and like you can really get like too dialogue heavy, but sometimes it could be like a look or a hand gesture or something could just say so much that I don't know. That's really interesting to think about, and it's cool that like just kind of hearing like your evolution as like a writer as well to think about things like that.
I feel like I think that sometimes like it's interesting because I feel like I'm writing a lot in like I kind of started in film, like cinema, but then writing but I also am writing television scripts, whatever. And also we have this show, and like even just watching television versus like film, how like in some ways dialogue, unless the dialogue is pithy and really funny and there are jokes just like streaming out of it, like sometimes like as Daniela says, less is more. And like if you think about it, like sometimes you think about like to get kind of like esoteric, like show don't tell, like in a movie. So like how can we show this character is feeling lonely at this moment without them saying I'm lonely? And I think to Daniela's credit, it's like the exact same thing where it's like how can we show the comedy of the moment visually, and like I just think it's like not a very TV thing that is done often, other than like Broad City, who we love. But like yeah, so I think in some ways maybe we kind of innovated the space a little bit because yeah, physical comedy does replace dialogue a lot in our show, which I'm proud of.
Yeah, it should be. And even like I think it's so cool like how many hats you both wear to bring this to life. And what's even cooler is the acknowledgement you've been getting through awards and nominations. And I think I even read one, there was like a women empowerment award in Webfest Italy, or like this is so that's got it. Like even like if you go back and think of like your span of being friends, this has to be like such a cool journey to like get to this point and create something that I don't know is just getting that kind of light and positive energy towards it. Uh how do you guys just feel about like the feedback you've been getting?
Oh,
Look, I'm just so happy when people have seen the show.
Yeah.
Thank you for watching the show, because I know that we live in a very fast world right now where it's really hard to keep people's attention. And so when people tell me that they've seen it, and even if it's just like half of the episodes, I'm like, thank you for watching, because yeah, it was a lot of blood, sweat, and tears for Aisha and I. And, if you're watching it, then we hooked you in somehow.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, which is excellent because that's the goal, in the nicest way possible. I actually didn't tell you, Daniela, the other day, like I also program at a festival and I was doing like a talk back thing. And then I was like, hi, I'm Aisha. And then someone screamed from the audience, love your show. And I couldn't believe it. So like, basically we're famous in Canada is what I'm trying to.
That's so awesome. Even yeah, I wanted to mention to the people, like maybe they're listening to this interview and haven't checked it out too. The show itself too is such like an easy watch. Like you click on it, it's just got this certain vibe to it. The episodes aren't an hour long. There's 4 of them. It's like around 20 minutes. And I felt like when I turned on the first one, like it flew through these 4 like just so quick, and it was just almost something that just kind of locked me in, almost like I'm trying to think of a word for it, but there's something comforting about it. You know how some people explain they're like, oh, I have my comfort show, and maybe they'll like turn on Netflix and watch like Friends or whatever. I got like that vibe of watching your show, and where it was just like there was something just relaxing and soothing about it, and it was just genuinely funny too. So like I really like want to say like to people, like just click on the first one, like you're gonna just roll right through it. Like
Thank you. That's so nice of you to say, like, you, because this is actually the second time you said comforting, and I'm like, I'm like, oh, okay, cool. And it's like nice to hear, because I think what we really did was we tried to focus on like entertainment, and like, yes, it deals with like real themes and stuff, but we don't get too dark. We keep it very light. And when we were talking about conventions of like shows that we love, sorry, I'm shaking, I'm talking so emphatically that I'm shaking my computer. We were speaking about like shows that we love, and like when it's the characters you come back to, and you want to see like you want to see what Selena Meyer on Veep is up to this week, because she's a psychopath but also so lovable. And I think there's something comforting in like just being like, I want to know what they're doing in their life, and like in a light way that's like fun, that doesn't make you think too hard, because we're thinking so much about our lives in the real world. So like why not go to kind of just like press a button where you get to stop everything? You know what I mean?
Yeah, like I've rewatched Veep like a million times, but I'm not rewatching True Detective season 1.
Yeah, or Black Mirror. You're just like,
even though, because it's like a one and done. You're like, I've seen it, like I'm scarred, I'm good, like this is amazing, let's move on. But like, yeah, I throw Broad City on all the time. I need it.
You know what I'm watching now? The Golden Girls. Thank you for being a friend. Those girls, they are so funny. Like, if there's a show to get back into, it's the Golden Girls. The Golden Girls are really good.
It's wild how like they're supposed to be like 50 years old too at the beginning. Like one of them is 50, and you're like, you look 90. Like, it's like, oh, it changed. Like, have you seen J-Lo just olive oil? Like, it's wild.
Yeah, even I remember that show being on when I was like a kid, and I thought they were like 80 years old and everything.
100%.
It was wild. Yeah.
That's pretty funny.
Shout outs to the Golden Girls. But again, yeah, like just going back to that comforting thing. Like last week, I covered a horror movie festival too, and this was like the perfect palate cleanser. Like I was just like, oh, this is like how you're supposed to feel when you watch things. Again, it goes back to like what you were talking about, like you see something and you're like, okay, I appreciated it, but I'm not gonna watch that again too. Like
ever again.
I had like a streak of back to back those type of movies. So now it's just like this was like such a breath of fresh air to me and everything.
Hell yeah, that's awesome.
And I know you guys got some other stuff going on around it. Actually, before that, are you guys planning to make a season 2 of this?
I mean, we would love to. We would love to.
I feel like when it comes to Daniela's made 4 web series now. I like am literally wrapping post. I thought, well, Trauma Bonding is 4.
I mean, it's not made yet, but yes.
Well, you made some stuff about it, so like
Yes.
I don't know.
It's true. It's true. Sorry.
Okay, like enough series that there's so many series. And for myself, I've made so much short form content. I think that like if we were to do another season of this, we would have like when I say have, I'm like Amazon, if you're watching, we would need more money. But I think it would have to be something that exists in the space of like 6 to 8 episodes kind of thing, 21 minutes, because there's so much that like we had do you remember we had 2 other episodes? The one about the lineup, what was that called? Do you remember what that was called?
The one about the lineup, I usually they all have lineups.
Yeah.
Yeah, right. The one where Zara is invisible because she doesn't have social media.
We did, yes. We had other episodes on the season 1 slate for sure, but yes, budgeting limited us, and we wanted to have longer episodes as opposed to like 6-10 minute episodes. So we chose to go longer, but I think we need more support in order to do another season, because it was a really ambitious project. We had a ton of background actors and a ton of principal actors and like, a ton of exterior locations. And we're shooting in a city that is like sirens and the Jesus guy. And, it gets wild out there. So, that's basically it for us. It was an amazing experience. And like, I could write this show. I could write 5 more seasons of this show with Aisha. It would be a pleasure. But yeah, I mean, it's hard to do if you don't have like a deal with a streamer these days.
Yeah, definitely. But I think this piece of 4 episodes, I think that's gonna be like your leverage. You can just be like, drop it down, look at this, and even like the award nominations you're getting around it too. I feel like this is such like a solid package if you want to turn it into a bigger thing. And even like how you left off the show, where it's kind of can be open-ended, like the characters are still on good terms. And there's ways you can loop them back into if you want to do these episodes that you've already written and haven't recorded yet. So it's exciting. Like I feel like the opportunities are kind of open and endless for this. Just got to get in the right hands,
Yeah, like
Sorry, you go.
Yes, in the right hands. So let us know if you know like Amy Poehler or Tina Fey or Lucia Aniello or Elizabeth Banks or Issa Rae or who else? Anyway, but you get the gist of it. It's like, doing indie stuff is like, it's always like a dream come true. So we're really happy that we got to do season 1. Like we learned so much. It was so much fun.
Yeah.
Awesome. And Daniela, you were talking about the trauma bonding show as well. I kind of want to know a little bit more about this. This is your next one, and how is it compared to The Drop? Is it same style of humor, or like how are you approaching it?
Well, it's funny. I was speaking with this project, about the project yesterday with someone, and they were like, it's just punchier. And I was like, oh, interesting. They were like, there's just more jokes. Like every second line is a joke. And I'm really happy that it's a bit of a faster paced show, and it's a bit more explicit. If you it. And it's about a psychologist who loses her license to practice, but she has really like a roster of really high maintenance patients, all of whom are like celebrities. And so she has to continue treating them. So she does so from her self-driving car, picking them up for appointments and, talking to them and hopefully making things better. But she's the lead character, Dr. Day, is a very polished but self-serving, career-driven woman. So she's very much an anti-hero.
Like Dr. Day.
I like Dr. Day.
We're crazy. She's crazy, but I like her.
She's a bit crazy, but yes, we have one clip of the show that is, I don't know if it's considered going viral anymore. It has like 1.5 million views, but I don't know if that's viral anymore.
That's viral to me. That's huge. That's awesome.
Viral?
Hell
because
yeah.
Viral now is like maybe 100 million, but yes,
that's really wild.
Yeah, it's fun. People are really twigging to the comedy. It's like super inappropriate, which is definitely my thing.
Want to explain what happens in the clip?
I'm actually just going to lead people right to the clip. So go to my Instagram page. You'll find it there.
The only way out is in.
The only way out is in. That's all I have to say.
Yes. we'll put a link to both your Instagrams in the descriptions of the show, whether people are listening on YouTube, Spotify,
It's
all
like a
that shit.
fan.
Yeah, so yeah, gotta lead them. Yeah, that's awesome. And Aisha, do you have any like irons in the fire right now? What you've been up to?
I've got irons. Are they in the fire? I hope so. Wow. Yeah, what am I doing? Like, yeah, you know, when you wake up and you're like, I'm tired. I didn't do much today other than drive across the city and sit in traffic for 3 hours. So now I don't know who I am. That's where I'm at. But I have a feature. Danielle's like, "Ooh, okay." I have a
Nice.
feature.
We got there.
We got there. Yeah. It's like you have a feature. I have a feature. We're shooting it next summer, which is really exciting. It's a drama. And then I also have wow, yeah, I have a feature that I'm shooting next summer, and then I have the show The Drop, and I have a pilot about an African princess. That's like kind of like Marie Antoinette meets like Marie Antoinette meets. It's kind of like The Great, but it's about a black princess, which is kind of cool. That was reared in like the Victorian era. It's a true story as well. So I'm working on that, and I have exciting things. I have to tell you, Danielle, about it because like fingers crossed someone wants to order the series or order episodes to write the series. So yeah, that's what I've been working on. Other than that, just like really hoping to develop The Drop into something further because I see its legs. But yeah, I'm just honestly I'm just out here.
We're
Hell
out
yeah.
here putting one foot in front of the other. You know, it's a
Yeah.
serious hustle, this industry.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I really admire both like your worth ethic, like even beyond like it's crazy. It's like so I read like you're the writers, you're the actors, but now like talking to you, it's like, oh, you also produce this, you're directing it. It's like so many layers, and I admire that so much. And Aisha, it's kind of cool even to hear like you go beyond comedy too, because I noticed like I talk to certain people like on the show, and sometimes there's certain directors and they'll only do one thing, whether it's like horror or a comedy or whatever, and you're kind of just branching out to just so many different things and have just like such like a diverse perspective of tackling like just this art form, which is sick.
Yeah. Well, thank you for that. It's I recently coined that I'm like genre agnostic. I think that like
I
Daniela and
like
I,
that.
yeah, I'm kind of just
Great
like what
term.
for me personally, Daniela and I think in many ways took on many roles because like you diversify your skill set. There's more streams for income, but also like you get more control. And then also like sometimes if you want to make something, like you kind of don't have the resources to pay a director or an actor. So you just have to do it yourself if you have the skill. And it's kind of through developing those skills that I feel like we're both here now. For me personally, when it comes, and so even like not pinning myself personally to a genre, it's kind of just for me to be like open to whatever. But I will say that like my thing is kind of the socio-political. So like one of the things I really love about The Drop is that like even though it's this crazy world, it's kind of like grounded by the fact that like there's the wealth cap exists as a thing that like is making people go to all kinds of lengths to like pay their rent, right? And so for me, it's kind of like I'm interested in the socio-political, but like the next thing I'm trying to write, I think, is kind of like might be grounded sci-fi, but it kind of goes back to like the times we live in. So it's less so about genre. It's kind of just like I'm an artiste. I will do what I'm called to do. Yeah, but actively trying to get better at writing comedy because comedy is a hard nut to crack. Writing jokes is hard, but that's where I'm at.
That's awesome. Yeah, and respect to both of you. I guess like as a final question, since some creators and aspiring creators gravitate to these segments, would you have any advice for somebody who's maybe a script writer and is hasn't really broken into the industry yet and is trying to bring their ideas to life?
Let's say do whatever you can to shoot something. Shoot
Yeah.
something that's really important. In my opinion, get someone to shoot or like, yeah, get your hands dirty, figure out a way to do it because reading is one thing, but like understanding and experiencing the tone of the writing through like acting and like the way it's shot, I think can really be a huge learning experience for you. And like to continue writing and understanding that for yourself is really important.
I agree. I think that's a great note. Like, yeah, it's interesting because every now and then, like, I was just at this festival called Austin Film Festival. It was so cool, and they're so nice. They put me on like a screenwriter to watch list, so I'm like a Movie Maker magazine and Austin Film Fest screenwriter to watch for 2023. So you're watching me right now. So with that, like, it was interesting, like having certain conversations at Austin as like, because it's very much so like a screenwriters festival, and every now and then like someone would figure out that I was on that list, which was like nice, but I was kind of not like screaming it from the rooftops or anything, because I was kind of just like trying to get drunk and eat barbecue.
Sick.
That's who I am. But every now and then I talk to people and like they were so screenwritery that I was like, this is so cool. And they were like, I have 5 features just ready to be made. And in my head, I'm like, okay, it's kind of like douchey to be like, just go make it, because not everybody has the resources to do that.
Mm-hmm.
But I do think that, similarly to what Daniela said, it's like, if you think about it, usually having a film that people can see is the thing that's a vehicle to drive you where you want to go. So I agree, like I 100% concur, like go. It doesn't have to be your feature. It could be a 2-minute thing. iPhones are now better than like most Alexa cameras at this point. I saw a meme about it this morning. And so I agree. It's just like, go write something, because there's so much you learn by the doing. Sorry, write something and shoot it. Partner with a director if you don't direct. Or if you don't act, find an actor, that kind of thing. Like, it seems hard, but just go do it, because you'll learn so much. More than just being behind your screen writing fade in : like, you know what I mean? Because maybe you won't want to fade in by the time that you're in the editing suite, you know?
Yeah, definitely.
Get to know those things. So yeah.
Yeah, that's great advice from both of you, and so much respect for everything. It's so cool to like kind of pick your brain about both like what you guys are doing, and I'm doing a handful of different projects, and I feel like I got a little charge of energy, like just to kick ass today from soaking in your vibes. So thank you for that. And hell yeah. For people who are listening to the audio version, you can't see them flexing and dancing, and but
We can do this for a while.
Yeah. Let it all out.
Yeah.
Now I forgot where I was going with my train of thought, but that's all good. We're going to continue to share the drop in all your projects in the future as they come out, and hopefully when the drop does the season 2, I'm putting this out in the universe, we can talk again and everything like that. So thank you so much for your time today, and I hope you guys have a great day.
Yeah, thanks for having us.
Hell yeah. Thanks again to Daniela and Aisha. That was such a fun talk. Also, if you're listening to this right now, we recorded this a while ago. Unfortunately, I had to put a bunch of these episodes on the back burner. I was caught up in the middle of some productions of my own to pay my bills. And then on top of that, right at the end of it, when I was about to get back in the podcasting action, I caught COVID, and a bad one. I was out for like another week after that. It was fucked up. But yeah, we're back. We got a lot of other pre-recorded episodes we're going to keep throwing your way. And like we mentioned, if you want to watch the drop, you can either go to Narcity's YouTube channel or find a link in the description of wherever you're listening to this right now. And yeah, before we go, we got to thank all of you legends who've been supporting me on the Patreon page. First up, Mike Carniello of the Testing with Mike YouTube channel. If you're into technology, electronics, how they work, and most importantly, how to fix them, go check out Testing with Mike. Also, big shout out to the lovely Amanda McKnight of Top 10 Nerd. Beyond being the host of Top 10 Nerd and talking to millions of subscribers on YouTube, Amanda McKnight has her very own personal YouTube channel that you should go check out. Type in Amanda McKnight and have fun hanging with her as she talks about comic books, video games, movies, and all things nerdy. That's Amanda McKnight on YouTube. So another shout out to the wonderful Jenny Potter, the legend Devin McBride, Ryan frickin' Campbell, my favorite soul singer, Saber, and last but not least, Francis Coffer, aka my mom. If you want to support the show and also get all these episodes early, raw, unedited, uncut, right when I'm done, I just take the Zoom call and I post them. You can go to patreon.com/thecreativeimbalance. And beyond getting them early and a shout out at the end of the show, you can just go to bed at night and sleep soundly, knowing you're a badass motherfucker who supports raw, uncut, independent media, and nobody can take that away from you. You hear me? With that being said, and like I said, we got a lot more episodes coming your way. I'm not going to take another 3 weeks off. You're going to get one in 2 days and another 2 next week because I love you and I miss you and I appreciate you. So thanks for listening, and we'll catch you next time. Cheers.